Our new players, the League of Legends, this is how you play against Tryndamere. So he has a passive that's going to grant him Fury. So he does not have a mana bar. Instead, he uses Fury as his main resource. Now, keep in mind, none of his abilities do require Fury. But we'll go ahead and go into that a little bit later. The main thing, Tryndamere is an auto attack based champion. Not a lot of damage is going to come from his abilities. So starting off with that passive, like I said, he does have that Fury. Now more Fury equals more critical strike chance. So you'll see that you'll get that overhand strike more often as Tryndamere with the more rage that you have. Other than that, also more crits that you get equals more Fury as well. So more crits equals more Fury equals more crits. Now with that Fury, he can spend that on his Q, which gives him a little bit of a heal. Now this heal can be used if he has 0 rage, but keep in mind the more Fury is more healing. And other than that, I mean, the heal isn't very much. It's quite inconsequential. But the thing to keep in mind is on a carry type champion, any amount of sustain helps. So for the W, it's going to reduce enemy champions on their attack damage. Now, if an enemy champion is facing away from Tryndamere, it's also going to slow them as well. For the E is a dash. Now this dash actually has a reduced cooldown depending on if Tryndamere is getting critical strikes or not. So we go ahead and take off this auto refresh cooldowns here as a 12-second base cooldown here at rank 1. But let me go ahead and build up some rage here or some fury. And once I start getting some critical strikes here, you'll be able to see that my cooldown on my E is actually going to get reduced. It's going to get about 2 seconds reduction every time I critical strike on a champion. So let me go ahead and use that one more time. I have a full Fury bar, so I have about 40% critical strike chance even without any items. And then you can see this ability down here is going to have its cooldown reduced every time I get a critical strike. So in the late game, this is going to allow Tryndamere to have a lot of slipperiness. So keep in mind also with this E, he can go over bits of terrain. So it's going to be very slippery to catch him in the late game if you do allow him to auto attack a lot and to reset that cooldown and that E. Other than that, he has an ultimate ability which prevents death. Now keep in mind, this is not prevention of taking damage, it's prevention of taking death. So what that means is if you're playing against Tryndamere, the main thing you'll want to do is once he gets low HP, he's going to want to use his ultimate. Best thing about playing any sort of game when it comes to PvP is that you want to know what your enemy wants to do and then counteract that with some sort of action yourself. So when you see Tryndamere get to low HP and you suspect that he's going to use his ultimate soon, CC him with a stun, silence, suppression, something like that that prevents him from using that ultimate and bursts him down to death before he has the opportunity to use his ultimate. Otherwise, if he does get that ultimate off, most likely, like I stated, he's going to use that E ability to go over some sort of terrain. So if you're playing a champion that's not able to go over terrain, be prepared to use your flash. Otherwise, that Tryndamere is probably going to get away. And that he's an auto attack based champion. So best counters against that is armor, items or abilities that reduce enemy attack speed, attack damage, or movement speed as well. Keep in mind he is a melee champion, so he's entirely dependent on being in melee range. So even a movement speed decrease on Tryndamere is a damage decrease for Tryndamere. Other than that, I wish you luck in your game. Have fun.